So I built a solar water fountain in the front yard. I just got a little water pump off Amazon, and I made these bowls out of Hypertufa. I bought some rocks up from the creek, and I bought a few from Lowe's and threw it all together in about 2 months. And now we have a nice little wildlife pond that's going to be a great place for the birds to get a drink. Salamanders, toads, everyone's welcome. Not everyone. So it'll be a great place for the birds to come and get a drink, and we have some frogs and things too. So I think it'll be fun to see what comes to it. So in this video, I'll show you about a 2-month process of how I came up with the idea, how I put it together, how I built the pots, and all the pieces and parts that I needed to make it work. So let's go put it together. This is not going to be a how-to video. I'm not good at those, so you're just going to watch me do it and then make it up and do it on your own. In case anybody's wondering, that's what 5 bags of gravel from Lowe's looks like. So yeah, project continues. Yeah, like that. So today I'm going to be using a process called Hypertufa to make these bowls that are going to go in the fountain in front of the house. It's just a mixture of sand, vermiculite, perlite, and peat moss. And we'll measure those out. So I got most of a 5-gallon bucket full of sand. I'm just going to dump it right on this tarp. And it's already pretty moist. I don't think I'm going to have to moisten it with anything. It holds its shape pretty well. But what I want is a wide, shallow bowl, because we're going to have it hold water in a large space and be sort of shallow just to look nice. Plus I want to have a place that will attract the local wildlife, birds and frogs and stuff. That's looking pretty good. We got the mold made, and we can go on to mixing the ingredients for the Hypertufa mix that actually makes the pot. So because I only wanted to mix enough to do this one bowl really to start with, I just got like an 8-liter bag both of the vermiculite and the peat moss, and then a full bag of this Quikrete, but it's got to be the Portland cement. The Portland cement doesn't have all the stones in it, so it's in a lot smoother mix. So I just dumped the peat moss in. It's got sticks and things in it like that, but again, some people will sift that stuff out, and if I had a small sift, I may go ahead and do it, but I don't, and I don't mind little tiny bits of schmutz in there because it's going to be a rustic pot anyway. And this, I'm just eyeballing these measurements, so I'm just going to dump this whole bag. Again, my general measurement is I've got about 5 of these pots of the peat moss. Probably a little less of the vermiculite, but it's all right. And then this would be about 2.5 pots of the Portland. And I'll just give this a rough stir with my hands. Get it all mixed up together like that. We'll just start building it up on the side like that, keeping it about, I'm saying 3/4 of an inch thick, 1/2 inch thick. I may find that later on I made it too thin, I don't know, but I've only got so much mixture to work with. You start it on the outside like this and work your way around and just fix the seams as you go around. You can add a little bit more in. It's, you know, it's a fun time to be a kid in the woods again, playing with mud. So just work your way around. Try to maintain what you think is an even thickness, though. That's important. Just press it in there nice and tight. And if you feel like there's a thin spot, you can always come back and add more. This will keep the moisture in while I'm waiting. This is gonna have to sit for about 3 days before we can turn it out. Put it on this tarp that I use to move leaves with. That's what these ropes are for. I'm just gonna cover that for just protection. Ignore the ropes. And I'll just throw some bricks on there to hold it all down. That's done. We'll see it in 3 days. So here I found myself with a little extra Hypertufa. So what I'm going to do is make a cast out of the center of this old bucket. So then you just put this inside the bucket and build the walls up on the inside like we did on the outside of the other one. I got 2 bowls made for the wildlife fountain that I'm going to put in front of the house. And we'll check on them in 3 days. They should be able to pop off the mold. I can save the sand from the big one. And then we'll let it set for another 2 or 3 weeks to cure properly before we install it. Okay, it's 3 days later. Let's see what we got. Looks like we got some rain over the night. But if we had everything tarped up, hopefully it'll survive. Some water. Yep. All right. Not bad. So the reason I said I didn't have a good feeling about this is because I can feel how it's still kind of weak, and I think that that's because it just hasn't completely set yet. But the plastic put a nice texture on the outside. I like my rustic rim that I've got. It'll look really good in the fountain that I'm going to build. and the hole isn't quite open yet, so I'm just gonna, the hole's not quite open yet, so I'm just gonna poke through it with a stick while it's still soft. So now I've got a hole in the bottom. So now we'll just let it sit for about 3 weeks and see if it'll get any harder than this, because right now it's pretty delicate. Like I was saying, I haven't done this before, so this is all new. The plastic seems to have kept this mostly dry from the rain last night. Seems to be pretty good. This one I think is going to be a little more of a challenge to get off here. Let me go get a tool. I'll be right back. This little tool might make things a little easier to kind of separate it maybe from the tarp, or it's so heavy just to lift it up like that. I broke it. I don't know. I have to play with my, maybe I need to play with my ratio of cement to everything else. It's possible that I could epoxy this together and make it work for my purposes. I don't know, maybe I can glue it back together. Maybe I can glue it back together. I don't know, we're just gonna save it, let it dry and see what happens. So this is the first look at the inside here where the adhesive has kind of squeezed into the crack there and holding it together. I'm gonna rinse all this sand out of here. There's a lot of sand still in there. I'm gonna rinse all that out and then put some more adhesive in once it's dry. I've been collecting rocks down at our creek and bringing them up here to restack to support those two bowls that we made, and that's going to be the fountain. So I've got this old planter pot that I'm going to use to hold the water in the fountain. There was a hole in the bottom that I epoxied back up on both sides, on the inside and the outside. I think that'll hold the water pretty well for now. Might be a little stronger in those places. So now the screen will be resting on the rebar to hold it in place. I'll hold all the stones up, but I can't finish it until I get the pump. So I got this new water pump for the water feature that I'm building in front of the house on Amazon. It came from this company, Popo Soap Solar Pump Kit. Here's the user manual that comes with it and all the bits and bobs that you're going to need to make it work. So let's unpack this bad boy and see what we've got. A couple of little filters, some nozzle attachments to make the spray do whatever you like, the pump itself, some tubing, an attachment to put it onto whatever you're going to mount it with. It looks like, oh yeah, it swivels, so you can adjust the angle of the panel however you like. Some more pieces that go with the nozzles, I would assume. A little filter basket, that's very nice. Some screws, a stake in case you want to just jam it in the ground, and then the panel itself. All right, it's pretty cool. This looks like it's going to be, the instructions say this is a quality 8-watt panel with 3,600 milliamp hours battery. It's got a battery built right into the back. So that way, if the sun goes behind a cloud or something, it won't completely stop. And just kind of going over the general assembly instructions, it looks like it's pretty straightforward. So I'm going to go and get some things together, and we'll try to install this in our water feature. Get this thing done today. Okay, so I suppose the first thing I want to do is get some water in this pot. This is exactly why I bought these connecting hose links. Anyway, you know, you get the idea. So the power cable is fairly generous. I don't know, it's maybe 10 feet. That's pretty good, but I got the extension cable here in case I'll maybe want to put it up on the roof. I got some extra room. For now, I'm just going to go ahead and attach this hose. Oops. All right, so that pops off fairly easily. Be careful about that. So I just cut a little square out of the top piece because the mesh here, as you can see, isn't lined up perfectly. So I just cut the top out so that it wouldn't pinch the hose. So I went down the creek this morning and got a bucket full of rocks just out of the creek. And I sifted them through a 1/4-inch mesh wire filter to make sure they wouldn't fall in. But that's another reason I wanted that hardware wire to be offset a little bit so that these small stones wouldn't fall through. Like I'm going back to the creek. this on here, like something like that. Under it. Maybe that's the answer. Dun, dun, dun. Connect it, expose it. Oh, I didn't think the hole in the bottom of my pot is going to leak water. Okay, here's my situation. I've got this bowl. This pipe is coming up through the bottom, but I didn't account for the fact that the water is going to come out this from around this hose. Even though it's pretty tight, it's still going to come out from around it. So as a quick fix measure, I'm going to make a little temporary gasket with some electrical tape and stop the water from flowing out around that hole. I'm going to put it on too tight because I don't want to crimp the hose. That should work. MacGyver. MacGruber. I always like MacGruber better than MacGyver. He always had better solutions to the problem.
The guy's a freaking genius! MacGruber!
That way. Yeah. All right, so we'll connect our pump. Alright, so that's version 1.0. I'm sure I'm going to change this over time. Really, the only intention for this was to be like a bird bath and a place for the wildlife to come and get a drink of water, the hummingbirds and the frogs and stuff. And that's why I put that piece of pine on there to give them a little access to it, give them some places to sit. So we'll let this just go and I'll see if we get any wildlife. So all in all, I think the project came out pretty well. It took a little longer than it needed to because I made the Hypertufa bowls, but you can do it in a day if you just use ready-made products. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Don't overload that bucket, it gets heavy. There's the creek. There's about 100 pounds of rocks. I gotta take them about 1,500 yards back up to the house where we're gonna build the fountain in that wagon with a flat tire. Man, now's a good time for a lesson on gravity. These rocks are really heavy. Just taking it easy and keeping an eye on things around here. My neighbor is putting tar patches on our road, fixing the potholes on the road in the cheapest manner possible. Up to so follow along and do your thing.